Yes, Ms. Finnis.
Thank you, Your Honour. Your Honour, the next witness who has the pseudonym BAS is in a remote location, and I can see him. Hello, BAS. And I understand that the bench can, but nobody else can.
Yes, Mr. BAS, can you see me?
Yes.
Yes, can you? And you can hear me, obviously, too.
Yes.
You need to be sworn to tell the truth. Will you take an oath on the Bible or an affirmation?
On the Bible, thank you.
On the Bible. Do you have a Bible there?
I do.
Would you take the Bible in your hand, please, and repeat after me? I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give in this Royal Commission.
That the evidence I shall give in this Royal Commission.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Yes, thank you. You can place the Bible down now. Yes, Ms. Finnis.
Thank you, Your Honour. You've been given the pseudonym BA Commission. That's right.
Yes.
And you've made a statement to help us that stated the 30th of April 2015.
That's correct.
Are the contents of that statement true and correct?
They are.
Thank you.
It'll become Exhibit 28-6.
Thank you, Your Honour. Would you like me to read the statement for you, sir?
Yes, please.
Omitting the formal part. I was born in 1946. I am currently 69 years of age. My family came from England to Australia in 1955. We lived in Geelong for a couple of months before settling in Ballarat. My family were very poor at the time. We didn't have breakfast or lunch or school uniforms or books. I am the second oldest in a family of 4 children. We were a very Catholic family and used to go to church every Sunday. The church we attended was called St Mary's Redemptorist Monastery, Ballarat. In 1955, when I was 9 years old, I started at St Patrick's Christian Brothers Boys Primary School in Ballarat. I think I started in grade 2. On my first day at school, I was very shy. I didn't have a uniform and I felt out of place. I didn't speak with an Australian accent and I spoke like a Pom. When I first started school, 3 of the boys got a hold of me, grabbed me and took me into the toilet. They put my head in the toilet bowl and pissed on me. When they finished, I got up and one of the boys said to me, "You're one of the boys now." They gave me a high five and I felt pretty good about it. Because my hair smelled, I got under the taps at school and washed my hair. The headmaster at the time was Brother James Philip McCarthy. Brother McCarthy was probably around 55 or 60 years old. Every Monday we had a parade on the school ground where Brother McCarthy used to come along and check our fingernails and shoes. During my first parade, Brother McCarthy came over to me and said, "How come you've got wet hair?" I said, "I fell over." He said, "Well, you're not supposed to be on the parade with wet hair. I'll see you in the music room after school." After school, I visited the music room. The windows in the music room were frosted halfway down, so no one could see in or out. The door of the music room could be locked from the inside. Brother McCarthy said to me, "I'm going to have to give you 6 cuts on each hand for having wet hair." I took the 6 cuts on each hand, but then they started hurting, so I pulled back. Brother McCarthy said, "That's 1 on the backside for pulling back." So he gave me another 1 on the backside. Everyone at school called Brother McCarthy Slugger because he was a belter. Usually, if the kids did something really bad, the brothers would send them to Slugger for punishment. It was common knowledge among the boys that if you were sent to the music room, you were in trouble. Now, I think you wanted to add an extra paragraph in here, sir. I used to tell my mother that I was sick as I dreaded going to school. I would put matches in my nose to make me sneeze when I went to bed at night. I did this to make my mother believe that I was so ill she would allow me to stay home from school the next day. I took a lot of beatings from Brother McCarthy for a long time. On one occasion, he punched me in the jaw with his fist. I went home and I couldn't eat my tea. My mum said to me, "Come on, eat your tea." I said to her, "I can't eat. I'm not hungry. I can't eat." My dad was very strict at the time, so he came up behind me and belted me until I broke down and told him that Brother McCarthy had hit me. Mum took me to the hospital that night. That was the first of 2 times that Brother McCarthy put me in hospital. Mum told me that she went to the school after the incident and told Slugger to stop belting me. Brother McCarthy kept belting me after this. Apart from Brother McCarthy, there were 3 other Christian brothers who were teachers at the school. I remember one of them as being a good brother. He was younger and he never belted us. I remember seeing one of the other teachers, Brother Murphy, belt other kids on his crutches, with his crutches. He never belted me. Brother McCarthy was my classroom teacher for grades 5 and 6. I was around 12 or 13 at the time. That was when the sexual abuse started. One day I got to school and saw the other boys playing with a condom. I thought it was a balloon at the time. I didn't know what a condom was. I think the other boys must have seen Brother McCarthy walking towards us, so the boys gave me the condom. The primary school was in Drummond Street, which was about 4 blocks from St Patrick's College. The brothers used to live at St Patrick's College and walk to our school. When Brother McCarthy saw me with the condom, he kept asking, "What are you doing with that?" I said, "It's only a balloon." He said, "I'm going to have to see you after school." When he left, the boy said to me, "Put a book down your pants because he's going to whack you real hard." So I put a book down my pants. Brother McCarthy took me into the music room and started hitting me. While he was hitting me, he found the book I put down my pants and he told me to drop my pants. Then he started telling me about condoms and what they're for. He said, "I'm going to give you sex education lessons." Brother McCarthy took his robe off. I remember he had black pants and a black shirt on. He held the condom in his hand and told me to masturbate him with the condom on and then without the condom so I would know the difference. It wasn't the condom we were playing with, it was a different condom. After this, Brother McCarthy sexually abused me about once a week. I felt like I was always getting in trouble and getting sent to the music room. Every time I got into trouble, Brother McCarthy would ask me, "What do you want?" He would make me choose either the strap or sex education. I always chose the latter because I didn't want to get belted. I should have taken the beatings. Brother McCarthy kept calling it sex education. I can remember him saying to me, "You're not to tell anybody else about this because you're privileged." Every time before the sexual abuse started, he told me I was going to end up being a nobody. Once I started masturbating him, he said to me, "I really like you. You're a really good bloke. You'll end up doing something all right. You'll go on and do the right thing." When I was 13, I got a scholarship to St Patrick's College, which was run by the Christian Brothers, because I got second in class. The boys at school asked Slugger for a recount because I had missed a lot of school, but Slugger told the boys I was second out of the class. One of the boys at school said to me, "Slugger's going to go to St Pat's College next year." I don't think he ended up teaching at St Patrick's the following year, but I believed the other kids and thought, "I can't handle this, I'm not going. I went to see my mum and I said to her, I want to go to work, I'm not going to St Pat's College. She said, that's all right anyway because we can't afford it. This was because the scholarship didn't cover books. After I finished grade 6, I went back to school for another 2 months until April 1960, when I turned 14. Brother McCarthy didn't touch me, didn't belt me, and didn't do anything to me these last 2 months. I just ran errands for him, but the damage was already done. I left school and started working as a welder in Ballarat. One day when I was in primary school, I was leaning over the fence when the postman came along on his bike. He said to me, did you have a good day at school? I said, no, this place is hell. Can you get me out of it? This was after one of the times I got belted. The postman rode off and I watched him go past me and I thought, geez, I wish I was riding that bike away from this. I told my parents about the physical abuse, but I didn't tell them about the sexual abuse. I kept it to myself all the time. The abuse happened continuously and I felt like I was always getting into trouble at school. I also felt very embarrassed at the time and I blamed myself for being in trouble all the time. Even when I tried to complain to my dad, he said, you must have deserved it. I thought to myself, oh well, I'm not getting anything there, so I won't tell you nothing else. Dad was a very strict man. I didn't tell any of the Christian brothers at the school about Brother McCarthy. I couldn't go anywhere to tell anyone. The only person I could ever tell was the postman. I thought about going up to St Patrick's College, but I didn't know who I could talk to. I could have told the good brother that I referred to earlier in my statement about the sex education, but if I did, I would have got the beltings instead. The first person I told about what happened to me was my wife, who passed away in 1975 when she was very young. My wife kept a diary when she was alive, and it was found in my brother-in-law's house in 2013. The entry read something like, BAS told me something about what happened in school and I felt sorry for him. I never knew I had told her. I must have been drunk at the time because I can't remember telling her. In 1993, I contacted Slater and Gordon because there was a lot in the media about child sexual abuse. I wanted to get justice from the church. I told them more about the physical abuse than the sexual abuse. I got some compensation from the Christian brothers, but then Slater and Gordon took their cut out of that. I signed a deed of release. I understood this indicated I was happy with the amount of compensation and that would be the end of the story. In 2009, 3 weeks before she died, my mum said to me, I was a bit upset about the church. She told me that sometime in the late 50s, she went to St Mary's Redemptorist Monastery in Ballarat to see if she could get some food for us. The priest who ran the kitchen said to her, come into the veggie room and I'll see if I can get some veggies for you. She told me the priest then touched her all over. She didn't tell me where he touched her because she was very shy. She said the priest told her, I'll need some sort of payment for the food. My mum left without the vegetables because she was frightened. When my mum told me about what happened, I remembered that I had seen her crying when she came out of the monastery that day. My mum always kept her faith. In about 2009, just before my mum died, I got into contact with another survivor. He told me about a men's group at Casa. He said Casa was not about telling the story, but just getting together and having a pizza and a drink. I went along to a couple of the men's group sessions, but what happened was everybody started telling their story. I didn't like going because there were too many grown men crying, and that got to me. It did help me a bit though, because I had been self-harming. I had been scrubbing my hands with steel wool until they bled because I wanted to scrub away the man. I felt suicidal at the time. Going to CASA and seeing that other people were going through what I was going through got me out of there. I eventually stopped going to CASA and they suggested I try towards healing. In December 2011, I tried contacting a law firm to see what I could do about Mum being molested. I contacted Slater and Gordon during Christmas. Because it was Christmas, the firm was on a break, so I felt kind of fobbed off. In about 2012, I made contact with Towards Healing, and a lady came out and took a statement off me. I can't remember her name. I think she said she was a mediator. I told her about my abuse and what happened to my mum. She said that she would put my name on the waiting list and Towards Healing would contact me. The Towards Healing people didn't get in touch with me for a long, long time. When they did ring in August 2013, a lady named Kerry from Mildura told me that they had organised for me to have counselling and that I was on the list for Towards Healing to contact me. Kerry used to ring me now and again to see how I was going. I didn't get counselling till much later. In about 2014, Martin from Towards Healing called me and gave me the name of the counsellor. I called the counsellor and went to see him. I was given 10 sessions of counselling, which I have finished. I didn't get anything out of the counselling. I felt like he wasn't really interested in what I said. I dreaded going, and it sort of put me off psychologists. It doesn't matter what people say to me, I'll never forget what happened to me by the Catholic Church. No one from Towards Healing has come to see me. They don't just ring you up and say hi. I received just a few phone calls from them. The Catholic Church has never apologised to me for what happened. For a number of years, I was involved with the Diamond Consortium, a government-funded group that looked after people who have mental problems. I had a Diamond representative from Melbourne come and see me because I was suicidal, but I haven't heard from them in a long time. I think they stopped operating. I've had 10 sessions of counselling, but it still hasn't taken any of the hurt away. I'm not getting any counselling at the moment. I drink heavily and I drink to the point of passing out. That's my way of dealing with the pain from the past. But not... I think about suicide a fair bit. I've got a plan, but I'm the only one I want to hurt, no one else. I've suffered depression throughout various periods of my life as a result of the abuse. About 4 or 5 years ago, I planned to commit suicide by driving my car into a big tree. For some reason, that day, my car would not accelerate beyond 30 kilometres an hour, and so I couldn't go through with the plan. I thought that maybe it was Mum watching over me. I called my doctor and told him about it. He had me admitted to a psychiatric facility in Ballarat for the day. I was on antidepressants and have been taking them ever since. The dose has increased over time. I've always had trouble in relationships and I've been on my own for a very long time. My wife died very young. I got married again, but it didn't work out. As a result of the abuse, I was also very tough with my kids. I brought them up on my own. In my career, I had problems with authority. I was always frightened of getting told off or belted by foremen or the bosses. If I felt threatened, I would just get up and leave. Before my mum passed away 3 years ago, I wasn't even able to tell him to me. I sort of told my daughter. I said to her, I was hurt by the Christian Brothers and I shouldn't have been. That was all. I still have at the back of my mind that I was a guilty person that I was the one who said, yes, I will masturbate you because I'm sick of getting belted. That's the way I feel. I know I always put myself down. My sister's husband's family are very strict Catholics. They always say that child sexual abuse didn't happen and that the church wouldn't do something like that. I've been back to the church twice. The first time I went into church, I felt frightened, but I thought no one's going to do anything to me because I'm bigger now. I have thought about going back to church, but I'm frightened of anybody in a black coat and the smell of chalk. One day I'll go back to church because I think I've got to forgive these people. I have got to get rid of this hatred in me because it's making me sick. One day I went to an open day for old students at St Patrick's Primary School. I wanted to find out whether the kids were getting mistreated. I think the kids are a lot better off these days. It was tough walking into the music room. When I went in there, I had two weapons with me, my left and my right fist. But there were no Christian brothers. They were all lay teachers and all the kids were happy and untroubled. I left there feeling pretty relieved. I still go past the music room sometimes and I can see through the frosting on the windows. There's nothing going on. I don't want kids to go through what I went through. I've had a tough life, but I'm surviving. I wish I could go back to my school days and walk out of that school, but I can't go back. Thank you for your statement.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. BAS?
Questions for any of the survivor witnesses, but may I raise one matter briefly because some of the council...
Should it be done when Mr. BAS has been excused?
By all means, if that's...
Yes. Mr. BAS, no one has any questions for you, but thank you for your statement and your evidence. You're now formally excused.